folks, I'm Arkush along with Kevin Fishbain and Arthur Arkush, and we report for you live from Halas Hall just a few hours after the introductory press conference of Ryan Pace as the Chicago Bears' new general manager. We've gotten to know him a little bit now, obviously not well, and so it's time for early conclusions and some observations about what we hoped for and what the Chicago Bears now have. Kevin, I'll come to you first for your initial conclusions.
Well, you can kind of see what George McCaskey and Ted Phillips saw. Here's someone with a young, bright mind who's been in a great organization in New Orleans with the Saints. And I thought it was interesting how much he talked about Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis. And, you know, when you looked at these GM candidates, there were the resumes were kind of similar in terms of what they had done. But what helped Ryan Pace stand out is who he had done it with, where he had been. And that's New Orleans, a very successful franchise. And you could tell how much that had an impact on a lot of his views on these things.
Arthur, there's been a lot of opinion that one of the best moves for the Bears would be if Ted Phillips was completely removed from the football operation. That's not going to happen. We will have Ryan Pace reporting to him. But at the same time, it was Ted Phillips who adamantly said all football decisions, head coach, roster, final 53, they are up to Ryan Pace. He will not be checking with Ted Phillips.
Yeah, he didn't leave any uncertainty for sure. It was interesting to hear that he'll be reporting to Phillips. But no, it was very encouraging. I thought he navigated his first press conference very, very well. And it was especially encouraging to hear the focus on the draft. You know, his predecessor, Phil Emery, admitted that he was more of a pro personnel guy. He felt more comfortable there. Exact opposite here with Ryan Pace. Said they're going to build through the draft. That's how you sustain success and eventually try and build a Super Bowl winner. And again, I thought he was very comfortable in his own skin. You couldn't really tell he was a 37-year-old inexperienced first-time GM for the most part.
I'll tell you guys, if you want a radical change from the past, both Phil Emery and the Lovie Smith, Jerry Angelo regime, he talked about what he looks for in football players, and he listed character, intelligence, toughness, and instincts. All great things. Not a word about speed and athleticism. Obviously, you want it, but a different focus as he evaluates football players.
And here's someone with a wealth of experience evaluating talent for New Orleans. You talk about 14 years in the organization, the last few years as the director of player personnel, pro scout, a guy who spent his time evaluating players. I know there's some people who may be a little concerned that he wasn't as directly involved in the draft, but he was clear that in New Orleans they had a great situation where the pro scouts and the college scouts worked together. And when you're evaluating a pro player, whether it be in training camp to add somebody to your practice squad, there's not much different when you're evaluating the college players. Just having that knack to know what these players can contribute to a team, and he seems to have that down.
And Arthur, sure, he's young, 37, by 3 years the youngest GM in the NFL, but he seemed very comfortable, very savvy, and I loved what he said about new, fresh ideas, not being afraid to try things, something you have to do for an organization that's become so staid and stuck in its ways.
Yeah, absolutely, and he said he wasn't going to pigeonhole the coaching search just because he's a first-time GM doesn't mean he needs an experienced head coach. He's going to look for the best guy. Getting back to what Kevin said, he talked about the synergy in New Orleans between Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton, that they need to be in lockstep and really, that's how you build consensus, and that's what he's looking for. He said it's going to be a feel thing, and it'll be fascinating to see how he conducts this first head coaching search.
All right, gentlemen, not a game has been won, not a single player drafted, signed, or cut. We don't know how this is going to go, but initial impressions, I think it's safe to say that Ryan Pace did a great job in his first day on the job. That'll do it from Halas Hall, but for the best coverage not only of the developing head coach search, but the retooling of your Chicago Bears, you want to stay right where we are at chicagofootball.com, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.